Thank you for joining us, Vic. And for those of you guys who don't know him, he's the assistant AD who student athlete health, wellness, and performance at Menlo College, and dedicated expert in health and wellness with nearly 20 years experience.
Yes. Wow. You're old, man. I started young.
There's a elite athlete performance strategies to practical solutions. I think we know better than, or we know this way well as well, Dennis.
Yes.
Big was our performance.
He was, yeah. He tortured us for many years, right? Yes. Actually, in here where we are right now, in the weight room of Menlo College. Also from my side, thank you so much for joining us today. It's awesome to have you with us today and share some wisdom with the community. Yeah. Before we get into the actual topic, since our topic goes along with the whole coffee theme, I just wanted to share a quick fun fact with you, or maybe it's also a question, but did you know that caffeine is not actually an energy source? Caffeine blocks a chemical in your brain from getting tired. Did you know that?
I think I did. I think we might have spoken on that, maybe your second year or first year. We talked about that. It blocks the ability for your body to get tired, but eventually wears off, and then we all get tired. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that. I thought the caffeine boost, but it's not a boost. It's just you block. Right. That's super interesting. Yeah. But anyway, enough coffee for today. We wanna dive into the topic now. So maybe a more generic question to start with, how did you end up in your position? What brought you to that or on that career path? Working with athletes and achieving peak performances.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has to start somewhere. My background story a little bit is I had no intention of doing this as a career. Like most young men, your parents are guiding you to be a doctor or a lawyer or those types of things. And when you're young, you're like, oh, my mom wants me to be a doctor, so let's try and be a doctor. And before I came to Menlo, which I was also an alumni, I was playing football at San Jose State. I had a friend that lived and worked and went to school in this area. So he invited me to come for the weekend and had one class that he had to take. I think it was like a finance class or something not that interesting to come to on a Friday. But I knew we had to go drive together. So he invited me to come to this class, and I think it was 11 something. He was, hey, just come to this 1 hour class. We'll hang out and then we'll head out. I said, great. I'd never been to Menlo College before. I stepped onto campus. It was as you guys know, about a 30-step walk to anywhere on campus. Walked in this class, there was 11 people there. And the professor noticed right away that I did not go to school there because it was mid-semester. Yeah. It actually was very polite, invited me in, sat down. I kind of told her, hey, I'm just hanging out with my buddy. And then started to engage with me in class. And I thought it was really eye-opening to me as a college student, wow, this person's really engaging with me. Whereas at San Jose State, the classes are much bigger. You're going to see the professor on the way out. You probably see the teacher's assistant more than anything. As the class ended, I had a great experience. And me and my buddy were getting to walk out the door. And of course, the person invited me to lunch to finish the conversation. And I said, and lunch? This is a great deal. Once we finished lunch, I asked my buddy, you in football here, don't you? And at that same time, almost serendipitously, the football coach was coming into lunch who had recruited me in high school. At the time, Menlo was a Division III school. I didn't want to play Division III football. I wanted to play Division I football because everything was covered. It was the prestige of that situation. But he saw me, he recognized me, I recognized him, and he said, what are you doing here? I said, I'm visiting a friend, and how's it going at San Jose State? How's life? And I said, it's going good. I'm splitting time with a player right now. And he just gently nudged me to hey, if you ever want to come here. And, the conversation ended. The next day, I kind of looked into Menlo and decided to come play football here and be a student athlete. Once I finished my playing career here, pretty successful. I was a 2-time all-conference player, voted was a team captain and most valuable player. Now, the position I played, that would be offensive linemen don't get a lot of glory. We don't score touchdowns. Well, we don't touch the ball really, but I got most valuable player just leadership-wise, how I approached the game, how I approached my life in a disciplinary sense. So that was a huge honor for me. But when I left, I'd always done my own training, my own lifting. I'd gone to this place called the Rekis Center, which is about maybe 2 miles away from Menlo. And prior to that, my coach at the Rekis Center was Jesse Lindenstein. He is the one that got me kind of into sports performance as I was finishing my career. I'd still go train there after football. And as new players would come in, he had big groups of people. He would always say, go with Vic, and he'll show you the rest of the workout. And I'm like, why is he always making me hang out with these people? I finally asked him after about 2 weeks, and he basically said, you do a really good job of explaining what I'm trying to convey, and your form is really good. And as I finished out my playing career, he mentioned to me, you should be a sports performance coach. Now, remember, what are the degrees here? Are there any strategy degrees?
No, it's business. Yeah.
So I thought to myself, like, how am I going to get a certification degree? I realized that CSCS, Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist, all you needed was a undergraduate degree in anything. I went and took that test right away, gained the skills, did some internship work with Jesse. He was also at Menlo School at the time as well, along with working at the Rekis Center. And by my time here, I was helping out with our football program as a young 20-something, only doing the conditioning portion. So no lifting, but it had somebody do the lifting. I was helping with conditioning, and it was all science-based conditioning. I wasn't making anything special or new. It was, the book says to do this, I do that. And we got results. At the same time, and this is kind of how it all ties together, we'd had a transfer from Stanford University come in. He was a quarterback, and I think at the time, Andrew Luck, a very famous quarterback, played for the Indianapolis Colts, was at Stanford. That's part of the reason he wanted to transfer here. He really wasn't seeing a lot of playing time. At that time, I was allowed to start dabbling a little bit in strength and conditioning. Again, I was getting everything from books, trying to structure things properly, talking to our athletic trainers about what the proper way to do this. What do I do if the player can't do that? And that player noticed that and say, wow, you would be a perfect fit at Stanford. So like, to learn a little bit more. And luckily, my personality or me just getting to know that player, he was able to put me in contact with Stanford Sports Performance. And Shannon Turley, who's a well-renowned sports performance coach, Hans Straub, who is currently the sports performance coach at University of Rice in Texas, interviewed for the process and, was able to get that position, and it kind of catapulted me to where I am now. Once I finished my internship, they were actually dropping football at Menlo College for various reasons. And Keith Spataro, the athletic director here, reached out to me and said if I was interested in starting the sports performance department here. I asked those coaches at Stanford if that was a good idea, and they said, get the hell out of here. Like, go as soon as possible. We're all trying to do what you just got offered on a silver platter. And within a week, I had arrived at Menlo and started the sports performance program from scratch. The rest is history.
So it was a lot of like coincidences too, or like other people like seeing something in you that maybe you weren't even seeing at the time.
Yes, for yourself. Now that you say it like that, yes. I think the more aware you are of your surroundings and how you operate and discipline, the less coincidence there is.
Yeah.
So if you're, I think what Jesse saw in me, obviously the football coaches saw the skill of a football player, but Jesse, the coach, saw like somebody that's always showed up, always consistent, always took directions well, and didn't stray from what was being asked of him at the time, which provided me the opportunity. And the same thing, what I learned from Jesse spiraled into what I was able to demonstrate to that one player that was, I guess, aware enough to go like, wow, this is very similar to what I'm doing in Stanford. This guy would be a good fit, and just luckily parlayed it into that. So you see how things connect like that. It's really amazing in life.
That's really awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that story actually. I knew like you were at Stanford, but like how you ended up within this area is really awesome. And thank you for sharing that. So we would like to switch gears a little bit. So sure, we want to talk about the health and wellness in the everyday life. Yeah. Not in specific for an athlete, just for everyone. Yeah. So what does it really mean to live well, and why is it important for everyone? And not just athletes.
Yeah, I'm going to try and take the athlete portion. If I stray, just give me a signal. As I've gotten a little bit older, I notice I'm not able to do as many things. Things creak and pop and move differently when you wake up in the morning. And I think the way I look at it now is you only get one body, which I'm sure you've heard of this, and you have to take care of it. For longevity reasons. My goal is to live as long as possible, to spend as much time with my family and my kids. And I think that's important. If you have people that you can love and they support you, you want to be around as long as possible. Why not live the best possible life in the best that was given to you? That's why health and wellness is important to me.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Really good point. Yeah.
And if we break it down to like different pillars, like for physical health, like, I think everyone agrees, like, yes, I want to be healthy, but what does it mean in terms of like the major, maybe like 2 or 3 things?
2 or 3 things. Yeah. I mean, think about the simplest ones is like diet, right? We might touch on this a little bit later, but I think the diet's so vastly important because it's literally the materials you're putting in your body for your body to turn over into new cells, new feelings, new like abilities, right? So if you're putting poor materials, let's say into a house, you're going to get a poor result out of your house. But if you're constantly providing your body with excellent top tier materials, your body's going to be able to perform optimally. So diet is paramount. Another big one that comes to mind, I know we've talked about this before, is sleep. It's the hidden, I think I joke with athletes about this. It's if I could find a way to get sleeping into a pill that wasn't highly addictive or had some serious side effect, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. We'd be in, Switzerland in my mansion talking about the same subject because I'd be a rich man. But sleep, so underrated, just for cognitive benefits, physical benefits. It's where our body repairs itself in all aspects. So it's mentally, physically, and even emotionally as well. So diet, sleep, and then really the last one that I think kind of gets maybe missed would be stress management and emotional connection to other people. I think if humans are social beings, they want to interact with people, whether some people are a little less social, a little more social, you want to be around people. That's the concept of team. Teams do better. Some individuals do fine, but even those individuals have coaches or somebody that could
They're not alone, right? They still have a team. It's just competing by themselves, but in the end, there's still a team behind it.
Exactly. And that's where the stress is as well. If you can manage your stress through diet, sleep, and community, you should have longer, healthier life for more longevity.
Yeah. Nice.
And I mean, we talked about those things before, obviously, while we're here at Menlo. And I feel like you have to, like, when you're a part of a team, that part is kind of covered. Then when it comes to sleep and nutrition, that's where you have like, you can kind of decide yourself when I'm going to go to sleep, and then the cafeteria, like, what am I going to eat? So I guess for like athletes or anyone, do you have like 2, 3 quick tips when it comes to nutrition, like, that they can follow that gets like maybe 80% of the results? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many different diets out there and there's research. I think the mainstays that people want to focus on, or we should focus on, is, are you getting enough protein in your diet? It's, like I said, literally the structures of our bodies are made of proteins, amino acids. If you're getting enough, then your body has what it needs to repair itself and perform optimally, whether it's in business or on a field. The other one would be, business. Sorry, here we go. What was the thought another question again?
It was just like, when it comes to nutrition, like, what are when we have like 2 minutes, what are we tell us to eat? Like, so
it was the protein.
Yeah.
And then I would also say, moderating the types of carbohydrates you get in your body.
Okay.
And it kind of goes along the lines with like healthy food versus junk food. We all know that a Snickers bar versus a broccoli dish, what's better, right? Snickers bar obviously tastes better, but the broccoli, you're going to get the most nutrients from. If you're a sedentary person, maybe you're not working out as much as possible, maybe avoiding huge amounts of carbs in your diet. I'm not saying low carb or no carb, but just being aware of what the purpose of carbs are in the human body. Whether you're an athlete or a regular person, you should be aware that it's an energy source. If you're not outputting a lot of energy, then you don't need a lot of carbs. If you have a busy day of meetings and podcasting, and you're gonna go for a run or a lift later, absolutely you should have carbs there every meal. But if you're gonna go, hang out in San Francisco for a little bit, enjoy some friends, yeah, keep it moderate. Have something tasty that's protein based and enjoy your day.
For sure. Yeah. You mentioned now like those pillars like sleep, nutrition, some sort of belonging, like team, right? What about actually working out? Like, what should let's say a normal person, what kind of workouts should they focus on? Like, how many times a week? How intense?
Yeah.
Is it just lifting, just running, a mix? What about like yoga or Pilates? Like, what's the best way to have a workout?
To work out. Okay. Yeah, that's another good one. I would say pick something you love to do and you can be consistent with. It's probably the easiest. And to that same flip coin, pick something you hate to do and that you don't like doing, because your body probably needs that thing, right? If you hate squatting and you don't have an injury, it's not, injury related, and you probably want to squat because you need strong legs. If you love bench pressing and rowing and those types of things, absolutely, but it includes something you don't like. That's the way to build resiliency and toughness when you do something difficult and you don't want to do it, but you got to do it because you know it's going to give you the benefit. In general terms, 2 to 3 days a week is optimal for a normal person. 30 to 50 minutes, pretty good amount of time. I would always start with, a good warm up, understanding what you're going to train that day. Lower body day, I better warm up my lower body. There was no point doing shoulder rolls and getting in there. Not warming up is the fastest way to get injured, right? If you're not properly warmed up and you go to even with a lighter weight, you can get hurt. And then picking compound exercises. If you're strapped to time, hey, X-bar deadlift, regular deadlift, bench, row, and a squat. Not maybe in the same day, but breaking them up in those 2 days, you get the most bang for the buck. And if you got extra time, obviously do your shoulders and groin and calves, whatever else you want. And then the fitness cardio portion of it, if regular people, if you enjoy running, then run. If you enjoy being an elliptical, be an elliptical. Bike ride, playing some pickup soccer, as long as it's something that raises your heart rate for a consistent amount of time.
2 times, like something you love.
Lifts your heart rate. Yeah, as well, lift your heart rate that you enjoy. Don't do anything you don't enjoy because you can't be consistent in it.
Yeah. It's all about consistency and balance, man, right? Still remember those sentences.
Yep.
Now we talked about basically the foundation of a healthy life, right?
Yeah.
But now the next steps would be like, how can we actually improve our performance? Like now we have a foundation, but how can we make the next steps? So are there any specific habits or routines that boost your performance?
Me personally, or
yes.
Or what you've seen with athletes, both.
Yeah. I mean, it may not be a lift. It's really like we talked about. I just talked about it a little bit now, but consistency. Like it's so hard to be consistent because life, for most people, it's something slightly different every day. But being in a routine and being consistent is huge. Like if you say the next day I'm gonna go work out and something small and trivial, I have this quick Zoom meeting, and then you're like, I'm just gonna go do something else, and it throws your whole day off. Yeah. For me, the biggest routine that I fall into is I try to do my lift before 12 o'clock. Anything, I wake up at 5:30 with my daughter. I have to do the dad things and then some training. And then if it's 11:25, I gotta go. I gotta go do something. I'm either gonna go run in the field for like 2-3 times. Okay, come in here, do some jump ropes, something that's gonna equal lifting, bench press, whatever it is, and I've got my lift for that day. That's my secret to just being consistent. Find a time and stick to it.
So you already have your lift today. We're not taking away from you.
No, I got that in this morning. I went on like a little jog with my daughter in the little stroller. Yeah, it was 48 degrees outside. We were both driven. So
yeah. And so I understand like daily time routine.
Yeah.
In general, what have you seen like when it comes to athletes or other students? What are some pitfalls? What are some mistakes people make when they're like, whether they're like just trying to get into that routine, if it's like workout or sleep?
For here, in this context, and even if people are trying to do it on their own, I would say like utilizing your resources. You guys mentioned that when you guys talked about it, like we have a pretty big staff here at Menlo College. I think we're up to 8 people that are sports performance coaches, which is bigger than most Division I schools, Division II schools out of your football. And sometimes people don't leverage that. They just kind of go, I got to come in and do this workout. Well, are you sticking around a little bit and talking about the Whoop band and how it affects, how it affects things in my life? Coach said I needed to lose some weight. Well, what does that mean? Like, you need to lose body fat. You need to lose, we never want to lose muscle, but same thing, like, come talk to us. We're hopefully a wealth of knowledge. And I think I've told you guys this before. If I don't know, I'll go find out from somebody else in my network. As a regular person, if you're trying to, make these changes sustainable or increase your performance, where are you going to get the information is important, right? Is it just, YouTube can be a little dicey. Reputable sources like examine.com is a good one. Perform Better. There's a multitude of different websites you could go to, but just make sure there's research and studies behind it. And then maybe even going to a professional, like hiring somebody. You don't need to hire them for the whole year, but hire a one-time session with the nutritionist, hire a one-time session with a reputable strength trainer to get that baseline information to help elevate what you've already started doing.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome. Gotta look up those sources. Never heard of them before. So in your experience, like you've been working with high performing people for almost 20 years now. Yeah. So what are the top 3 traits you have witnessed in a high performing environment and in the people you coached?
Yeah. I thought about this a little while ago, and it is really discipline is the hardest one. It's kind of one of my traits that got me to where I am now. Just being able to show up and do not the same thing, but just be able to show up every day and do what's being asked of you, right? I'm sure soccer players, you've come out to a field on a Wednesday and Coach Lambert is, hey, we're going to play 11v11 for 90 minutes. And you're like, oh my God, we lifted yesterday, I'm tired. But you still did it. You still did it at a high level. And if you didn't, somebody lets you know you didn't do it. That takes like physical and mental effort to do every day. And I think there's like, I'm sure you guys have seen these photos or videos, like, I think it's like extreme effort versus consistency. What's going to get you there? It's going to be consistency. Like if you come in at 8.5 every day and you're not going to 11 and then back down to a 3, you will get to where you want to go. So people that are disciplined tend to be more successful, whether it's sports performance or life, because they have a routine set. Another one, adaptability. Being able to adapt to situations, whether it's at work, boss throws a bunch of work at you, having some family issues. I'd equate it to like soccer. Whatever's not working in the first half, coach sits down and makes the adjustment. Well, instead of players kind of going, I don't know, you just go, yep, this is the plan. Let's do it. And you do it full effort. Being adaptable is huge. The last one I think would be a growth mindset. There's a great book, Growth Mindset. Check it out if you haven't read it. I keep seeing the same word, but it's changed my mindset towards things, like always trying to learn, always trying to bring some new information, being vulnerable and saying that you don't know, which is okay. I think that a lot of folks, even in my industry, they have this bravado of like, well, I know everything. And again, it's another curve that I've noticed, online. It's the Dunning-Kruger curve. You start out thinking, you don't know anything. You learn a lot. You think you know everything. And then the more you learn, you realize you don't know anything again.
Yes.
I'm on the downscope of that right now. Right. I'm on the downscope. I thought I knew.
It must be frustrating,
but humbling is not the right word. Humbling is the right word. Yeah. It's really been a huge benefit of having my staff, being younger, exposed to newer things, the new things we brought into Menlo College, specifically like velocity-based training, force plates, just the new technologies. I thought I knew how to operate it, but intertwining it all together, getting sports medicine involved. I literally sit in these meetings and I go, you're the expert, you teach me. How do I incorporate this? And then I provide bumpers and guidance through experience of things that I've experienced in my career from.
Awesome. So maybe to anchor that message, like performing at a high level is about consistency and trying to perform as the best version of yourself, on a daily basis. Yes. You mentioned about the Whoop bed.
Yeah.
Right? These are like technology tools that can help us achieve a better lifestyle, right? Yes. Can you give us some other insights on what kind of tools are out there except for the Whoop band, and what are the differences between them, benefits, pros, cons?
In terms of like overall wellness tracking, the Whoop and the Aura Ring are very similar. Let's start with those. Whoop band obviously kind of just gives you informed information on how your body is doing or reacting to training. The biggest one I like about it is that sleep data is relatively accurate. I know some people argue there's gaps. Well, it's better than nothing. It's better than just guessing that I slept X amount of hours. What I really liked about it is it can help you kind of go back and ask you questions on like, what did you have food-wise? When did you have it? And this is why you don't feel this way. I know for me, if I eat past 7:30, my consistency and sleep score is down. It just takes my body longer to digest at night. So I try to eat my dinner at 5:36, which I think literature said that's about a good time to eat it anyway. Obviously, we've all experienced some alcoholic beverages before, and we've, it's not good for your sleep. But when you actually see how bad your sleep is, that's been a game changer for me as well. Like, having a beer on like a random Tuesday, I'll wait if I even have it on Saturday. Like I'll just wait so I can get better sleep throughout the week. As far as other tools, oh boy. Well, in the sports performance realm, I would say, like I mentioned, force plates. Those are pretty cool. They're not very affordable. It's not like a regular person just gonna go grab a couple and throw it in their apartment for $8,500 a piece or whatever it is. But it is a really valuable tool in the sports performance realm. It measures, up to like, I think it's like 8,000 different metrics on one singular jump, and then you kind of just pick what you want. And again, it can tell if you've had a beer, it can tell if you slept poorly, it can tell if you're stressed, you can tell if your muscles aren't feeling the best. And we use it here to make informed decisions on training, communicate it to coaches as well. A couple of the tools we use are velocity-based tools. There's a multitude of them. We use something called an E-node. It attaches to the bar and it allows, I think we might have trained with you guys when you were here, but we put the little device on the, we talked about there over there. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, for bench press or
squats as well.
Yeah.
The speed. Yeah. So it basically allows us to train a speed rather than a weight. So as soccer players, you value how fresh your legs feel. I never actually got any feedback. I might ask you at the end of this statement here, but to me, in my mind, it made sense that putting this device on the bar and telling you to move it as fast as you possible or giving you a range would be easier than actually putting 80% of your max on a Monday and having you grind it out and then going the next day to try and lift.
100%.
100%. Okay. It worked. I agree. Yeah. Shut it off. We're done. Here we go. Yeah, it's just an awesome tool. You still train. Your legs felt good. We won games. Guys stayed healthy. Again, who am I to say that we have to back squat heavy? If the tool works, use it. And the final one, I think we might use it here last year, but we had GPS devices. You could actually just use your Apple Watch as a GPS device if you have it. It's a good way to track your speed, your cadence, your rhythm. If you go on a basic run and you really push the run, not only will it tell you heart rate, but it'll tell you how fast you were going and then see how you feel the next day. Okay, maybe it was too much. Let me pull it back. It's the same idea with the GPS units that the guys wear. We track their normative data. So we'll have them play 3 games, whatever the schedule is. Make sure that you're a starter versus a bench person. And I see what your average is. After your average, we want to make sure we stay within 10% of that. Anything below that, you might need a little extra training. Anything above that, we look for signs of fatigue. And same thing, you'll watch them do the same thing. Go on 3, 4, 5 runs, push it a couple times, see how you feel, and then just know that, hey, for me, if I run 5 miles, I feel good. If I go to 8, I don't feel so good. 3, I could have done more. It's not enough stimulus for your body to get the benefit of running. So...
Yes, just to follow up specifically on the Whoop and the Aura, because I'm just deciding which one I should buy.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice?
Ooh, okay. So I've never used the Aura. The reason I thought, okay, maybe the Aura isn't the right decision for me is I like to lift weights and the ring looks really, really nice. And they want you to wear the ring all the time. And they say it's scuff proof, but we've all seen you lift weights in here. We're not gently moving things around here, and I don't want to scuff up the ring or damage it. So yeah. I feel like they've come out with lots of different bands for Whoop. The data is relatively the same, so I prefer the band. You can even, some athletes have bought like special shorts that you put the Whoop in your hip and you don't even see it on your body. So for me, it's the Whoop just because of like I lift weights and I do some running. So
yeah. Like the band. So it's also a preference of like how you want to wear it on the device.
Yeah, 100%. Awesome, great question. Maybe one more question within that section before we move on to the conclusion and our famous Espresso Round.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on ice baths and cold showers? Like, especially on social media nowadays, I see a lot of people jumping into into an ice bath, right? Yeah. Is this more hype or is there like actual science behind it?
Yeah, there's a wide gamut of ways we can go with that. Again, like I mentioned, I like to learn a lot of things. So I was early in my career, everybody ice bath, whether you like it or not. And there's some athletes that are like, okay, I like ice bath. It's not that bad, like whatever. And there's some athletes that absolutely hate it. So what's the purpose of ice baths? Is it to get recovery? If it's recovery and you feel tense and you hate it, are you actually recovering? Yeah. I think Dr. Mike Israetel, who's a famous bodybuilder / scientist, who does RP strength, mentioned like if you don't like doing the recovery modality, you're not recovering. You're dreading. You're mentally dreading getting in there, and you hate the shivering feeling. Now there are some benefits to it, and there are also negative sides. So I'll say the negative first. It would be if your goal is to put on muscle mass. Let's say you lift at 8 and you finish at 9, and you're gonna hop in the ice bath like 9:15. You're actually blunting that signal you just gave to your body to grow new muscle tissue. Think about you made a bunch of micro tears and your body's sending the signal to your muscles to grow. But when you get cold, that signal slows down. Those hormones and the cascading effects don't ever really fully get there. And so the hypertrophy effect of muscle gain isn't there. Now, likewise, on the opposite side of that, you're playing a soccer game. The game ends, get in the ice bath as soon as possible because we want the effects of the soccer game to not take as hard for the next day. Right? So there's pluses and minuses. As far as like mental clarity and like mental benefits, anecdotally for me, I feel like I have great sleep when I knew it. And I don't need to be in there for 15, 20 minutes, like 4 or 5 minutes up to the neck, all the way down, submerged, pretty darn cold.
Out to the neck, I like that. Yes. In soccer, I only did my legs. So I was like, as I just go in there.
You got to go all in, commit. And I feel good. I sleep really good. The Whoop band tells me I sleep really good. So I've tried a couple Sundays where I work out early in the day and then ice bath later in the day. And I've slept really, really good. So,
and what do you do when you do an ice bath? Do you like watch video? You listen to music?
Podcast or something like that. That first, I like to return the.
Might be a new one coming up.
Yeah,
New podcast. Yeah, that you can listen to.
I think I know. I think I know. I think I want to see like what episode 1 was like. Yeah.
No, what are you going to say though? Your podcast, when you go in there?
Yeah, podcast. As soon as I get in there, I take that 20, 30 seconds, try to control my breathing because that's another part of recovery, and just sit there for those 45 minutes. And then really the getting out part feels amazing. You feel like you've accomplished something when you get out of there.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm just going to share what I took away, like 3 takeaways, and then let me know if they're wrong. But I think for me, what the most important was that it's actually not that hard to have like a pretty healthy routine, 2 to 3 times workout, and then you can do twice something you love. Like for me, that would be playing soccer, something that gets your heart rate up. First thing. Second thing is nutrition. Don't forget your protein.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that you've told us over and over again when we were athletes, but I think it's good to kind of like reinforce it. And the third one is, I mean, like as I'm trying to decide what I want to buy, whether it's like on our Whoop, I think I was thinking about like wearing a ring. I'm not wearing any, so I think I might also just go with the band. Yeah, but it's a personal preference. So like for anyone listening, that's like the ring is probably as good, but it's just like what you prefer. Perfect. How about you, Dennis?
Well, you summarized it pretty well. And my biggest key takeaway is that consistency is key. Showing up and putting in the work goes a long way, right? So this is just what I take away. And of course, everything you said, right? And yeah, I'm happy with my Whoop choice.
Hey, there you go. Yeah.
All right, Vic, are you ready for the world famous Espresso Round?
Yeah, let's do it. All right.
Let's do it. What is your favorite book and why?
I'll give you 2. Strength and conditioning wise, simple, right? We talked about being simple. New Functional Training in Sport by Mike Boyle. Mike Boyle is a famous strength coach. He's been around the longest time. He's had a lot of controversial takes on like squatting. He's like, doesn't believe in back squatting, like at all. And there's a part of my career where I didn't believe it either. But now I found balance. But the book is like, anybody can pick it up. If you're looking to build that workout plan, pick that book up. There's nothing crazy or fancy, but it gives you structure. So I recommend it to my GAs and new coaches to read it because it's like, oh, I don't have to do anything crazy. I just have to be sound in what I'm doing and consistent, and we're good to go. And the other one, it has to get a mental component to anything in life, right? If you are consistent but don't have a mental attitude that's right, you may not be as successful. It's Coaching the Mental Game by H.A. Dorfman. That was one of the books that was introduced to me at Stanford while I was there. And they use a lot of examples, like real world examples of athletes that have come up in weird situations or something terrible has happened. Hey, we lost the game at the last second. It was my fault. How do you as a coach help that athlete, guide them to see the positive in that? Like people don't just make that up. They have to learn how to do that skill.
Yeah, that's right. What's one piece of advice to your 25-year-old self?
Ooh. All right, so it's simple. Spend less time caring about what people think.
Well, good one. Yeah, really good one.
That's also like, I don't know, but maybe differently. If you could write one message on a massive billboard, what would it say?
I had to think about this one a little bit. It was, habits are the compounding interest of self-improvement. Wow. Yeah. I was like, ooh, this one. Right here.
That's quote of the day.
That's the title of this episode.
Yes.
Well, that also leads into the next one. What is then one habit that makes your life better?
Well, it goes back to kind of how I ended up in this situation and life and just learning. I talked about it early, like, I read a lot of books. I follow a lot of structure. So just reading kind of breathes life into me. Like, I'm not going to get better at what I'm doing here. This is year whatever for me without like learning something new. I can bring as many people in and grab their knowledge, but I have to solidify it through learning. For me, it's reading books, listening to podcasts from reputable sources, and trying to pass that knowledge along to somebody else. So, yeah.
And finally, what would be one guest we should have coffee with in the future?
I got to give you two.
All right, it's okay.
So I mentioned him before. I got a excellent interaction with this person. I think this last weekend, Les Spellman. He's based in San Diego. He is a speed guru, is what the term that I've seen online with him. And I was fascinated by his structure, how he organizes his thoughts. The NFL uses him. Olympians use him to train them for more speed outputs. But the conversation that I had with him this weekend was more about how to approach life, how to approach people, how to approach what you want. We had that conversation for about an hour, and we didn't really touch on speed. It was awesome. It was amazing. The second one would be the same conference I went to, would be one of my assistants, brand new assistant that I got here, Cole Mamar. He is a wise beyond his years, is how I describe it. He's 20-something years old. Again, I was able to bring him here to Menlo through an athlete that I trained here, and Cole played for him, and that athlete recommended Cole to me, and he's kind of just been floating between us and Menlo School. He's one of those guys that keeps my lexicon of sports performance new and bright, and challenges me and makes me think. So those two guys would be good options if you're looking for a little bit of both, of something that people could take away in a regular life or sports performance.
Great. Perfect. Thank you so much again for being on our Coffee Bar podcast. It was a blast to have you here.
Yeah.
And we'll be in touch.
Yeah.
And we look forward to seeing you soon again.
Absolutely. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it.